Every season, there's a handful of clubs people call the best in the world. Usually it's the same names: City, Madrid, Barcelona, maybe Bayern if they're rolling. But something's off this year. Games have been chaotic, scores have been wild, dynasties have stumbled. And with so much unpredictability, it's been hard to say who the best team actually is. So I started digging at the numbers, and not just expected goals or possession, but all the metrics that measure performance. Progressive passing, shot creation per 90, carries into the final third, and passes per defensive action, just to name a few. And as I spent a frankly embarrassing amount of time scrolling through RefBRef, one name kept rising to the top. And the stats don't just say they're good, they say they're clearly the best team in football right now. PSG have been a huge surprise this season. Even after losing Mbappé last summer and struggling at the start of the campaign, Luis Enrique and his squad have somehow turned it around to become the most statistically dominant team in Europe. We all know they're in the Champions League final and one away from a historic treble. But what most people don't realize is just how complete they've been under the surface. If we start with team level metrics, it starts to make sense why they're in the position that they're in. When you look through Europe's top 5 leagues, PSG have the #1 highest expected goal difference of any club, with plus 1.7, which basically means they're the world's best team at consistently and thoroughly outscoring their opponent. Quite literally the only way to win a football match. They've also averaged the most points per game across this campaign, with 2.47, again more than any other team in Europe's Big 5. So yes, they're dominant in League 1. But before you mention the Farmers League, the data also holds up when you zoom out. When it comes to the Champions League, PSG are second in tackles and first in ball recoveries and ball recoveries per 90. But what stands out even more is what they do with the ball after winning it back. FBref's per 90 data also shows they're first in successful take-ons, second in carries into the final third, first in carries into the penalty area, and first in key passes. That's a full sequence. They recover the ball, progress it, beat their man, and create chances. It's not just a well-balanced team, it's a complete system. Every phase links into the next, and the numbers back it all up. But if you're still not convinced, PSG also ranked first in FOTMob's team rating for the Champions League, a metric that blends expected goals, assists, duels, dribbles, recoveries, and more into one overall performance score. And what happens when you take all of that pressing, progression, and chance creation and feed it into a predictive model? Well, even the Opta supercomputer is leading their way. After running 10,000 simulations of the PSG Inter final next Saturday, it gave Luis Enrique's side a 53.4% chance of lifting the trophy. For a one-off match between two elite sides, that's a meaningful edge. Even the machine is betting on the Parisians. But it's not just that PSG are dominant as an overall team. They're statistically elite at every single level of the pitch. Break the team down by lines and you'll find elite metrics in every one of them. Let's start at the back with the fullbacks. Hakimi and Nuno Mendes aren't just good, they're pretty much the two most well-rounded, high-output fullbacks in world football right now. According to FBref, Hakimi ranks in the 97th percentile or higher compared to all fullbacks across Europe's top 5 leagues for progressive carries, progressive passes, non-penalty expected goals, and shot-creating actions, meaning he outperforms at least 97% of fullbacks in each one of those categories. Off the ball, he's aggressive in transition and constantly available as an outlet, and on the ball, he's basically a winger with elite passing range. His closest statistical matches, Theo Hernandez, Alejandro Grimaldo, and Bradley Barcola, a left winger. I can't even imagine how hard Madrid are kicking themselves for letting him go back in 2020. On the opposite flank, Nuno Mendes is a physical monster. While his attacking numbers are slightly more modest than Hakimi's, his ball progression and duel stats are still off the charts. He ranks in the 95th percentile for expected goals plus assists, 95th for successful take-ons, and his mix of aggressiveness and explosive speed make him one of the best 1v1 defenders in his position. But here's the wildest part. In FBref's similarity model, the player who most closely resembles Mendes is Hakimi, and vice versa. Two fullbacks who play on opposite sides of the pitch and who are almost identically elite. That's not chemistry, that's Swiss clockwork in a French watch. When it comes to the midfield, their statistics are just as dominant. In Vitinha and João Neves, PSG have two midfielders who are unusually comfortable on the ball, can resist almost any press, and are always scanning for ways to progress play without losing shape. Vitinha might not be flashy, but he's the oil in PSG's engine. His numbers are elite across the board, ranking in the 100th percentile for long pass completion, 99th percentile for progressive passes received, 99th for carries, and 99th for short and medium pass accuracy. His closest statistical comparisons are Joshua Kimmich, Luka Modric, and Angelo Stiller, players who define structure and tempo at the highest level. And it tracks. Vitinha keeps the ball moving with ease, and his dribbling and close control allow him to sustain pressure and operate as a deep-lying playmaker with total composure. Next to him, Joao Neves is just as dominant, but in slightly different ways. Much like Vitinha, he's also in the top 10 percentile for through balls, progressive passing, and pass completion rate, but contributes more to defensive actions, duel success, and touches in the penalty area. Neves isn't just balanced, he's off the chart efficient on both sides of the ball. His statistical comparisons include Bruno Fernandes, Bellingham, and again Luka Modric, proof of how unique his blend of control, creativity, and intensity really is. Together, their numbers don't just suggest balance, they scream elite output in all directions. It's not quite Xavi and Iniesta 2.0, but watching these two Portuguese midfielders control the tempo brings a real sense of nostalgia for the golden era of possession dominance. When it comes to the front line, PSG are just as statistically proficient and much more dangerous. But Adli Barcola has quietly become one of the most efficient wide forwards in Europe this season, especially for his age. He ranks in the 95th percentile or higher for progressive carries, touches in the final third, and take-ons attempted. And when you combine expected goals and expected assists per 90, he's in the 99th percentile. He's not just running down the wing and hoping for something. He can create danger almost anytime he touches the ball in the final third. On the other side, you have Ousmane Dembele, who's even more unpredictable in the best way possible. He's in the top 1% for successful take-ons and carries into the penalty area, and he's among the best in Europe for shot-creating actions. He is messy and sometimes risky, but statistically, he's an absolute nightmare to defend. And I'm truly sorry if this is getting repetitive, but they also have the best goalkeeper in the world, and that's not just my opinion. According to the CIES Football Observatory, which ranks goalkeepers based on save percentage relative to expected goals on target, Gianluigi Donnarumma is number 1 globally, ahead of Sommer, Oblak, and even Courtois. So just to recap, PSG have the best expected goal difference in the world, an elite fullback pairing, a midfield that controls games like metronomes, 2 wide attackers who generate chaos for fun, and the best performing goalkeeper on the planet. This is Luis Enrique's system in full flight, and we've seen them put all of these ideas into practice against some of Europe's best teams. Against Liverpool in March, they completely shut down Arne Slot's tactics, keeping 54% possession and outshooting them by a significant margin. And against Arsenal, they didn't just win, they dismantled one of the most cohesive defensive blocks in the tournament by turning the game into a series of 1v1 duels they knew they'd win. Now it all comes down to one game. PSG are a step away from a historic treble and their first ever Champions League title. Statistically, they've done everything right. Tactically, they've evolved. And individually, this team is younger, deeper, and more complete than any PSG side we've seen before. Their average age is just 23.6, the youngest team to reach the UCL round of 16 this season. And that might just be the scariest part, because even if they don't crown themselves this year, this team isn't going anywhere anytime soon. As always, thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more content just like this.